Hello, thank you for joining us for episode 4 of our 10 episode series on 10 steps to help your church grow. In this episode, we're going to be talking about celebrating success. This is related to establishing a healthier church climate. And if you're watching these in order, we talked about that in episode 2, and in episode 3, we talked about managing conflict, which is also directly related to building that healthy church culture. I said in episode 3 that I thought it would be a shorter video, and it wasn't. But this time, I'm positive episode 4 is going to be a shorter one because this is so straightforward, and yet it's something that we need to be reminded of, and it's something that we need to be mindful of. It is important for us to celebrate our successes. Now, some people are naturally much better at that than others. Some people are much better at focusing on the goal, on the destination, on how far is left to be traveled. And it's good to have people like that as part of your congregation, as part of your leadership team. We need to not lose sight of where we're headed and even of how much farther we need to go to get there. But we also equally need to be reminded of how far we've already come. It is important for us to celebrate success. It fosters a healthier church environment. When we're celebrating our successes, it's exciting. It breathes new life into things that we're doing. It recognizes success that we've had, often with new things. If you're finding new success with old things, that's great. Celebrate that. But almost always, it's because something has changed within it. We have new success in a ministry that we've been doing for years because we made a change to it. We added this new thing to it, or we changed how we were doing this part of it. And it's good to celebrate in general, but it's even better to celebrate the positive effect of those changes. And the reason for that is because change is hard. Breathing new life into the church, making the church healthier, revitalizing the ministry of the church requires change, and that makes it difficult. So when we celebrate positive effects of that change, it makes more change easier to do. As I mentioned previously, oftentimes in churches, a certain amount of pessimism or cynicism has set in. People have become very risk averse. So celebrating our successes is vital in helping to break down some of that risk aversion, some of that pessimism. We need to build hope in our church. We need to build up the expectation that God is going to be at work in the things we do, especially the new things that we're trying. As we prayerfully consider what God is leading us to do, there's going to be new things on that list that we've never tried before. And when those things are successful, we need to celebrate them, to reassure people that new things can be good, to reassure people that there is hope for the congregation, for the ministry. We need people to be more comfortable with change. And a big part of them getting there is celebrating when those new things are successful. Of equal importance, we should be celebrating successes because it helps us to recognize and to appreciate God's activity within our church. Because again, like we talked about in the first episode with prayer, at the end of the day, God is the one who brings victory. God is the one who brings success. We do our part to be as prepared as we can be, to use our gifts and our talents. But at the end of the day, it's really God who brings success to any event, to any ministry, to anything that we're doing. And when we celebrate what God's done in that success, it makes us more grateful. It makes us more expectant. We should be expecting God to show up. We should be expecting God to work. And when we see God at work, when we celebrate that work, when we share with one another about how we saw God at work, it makes us more expectant. So breed expectancy in your church. Breed enthusiasm. Increase your trust in God. When we see God at work, it breeds new trust. It increases our trust that God will continue to be at work. So celebrate your success. And again, this is no matter what your context is, this can be fairly straightforward. So something like conflict management might be hard to immediately wrap your mind around. How do we implement that in our congregation? But celebrating successes is easy. Get up on Sunday morning and share. When it's time for prayer, if you do prayer requests or joys and concerns or whatever you call it, share about what God did. Take a moment. If you're planning a worship service, set aside a moment, maybe once a month or however often you need it, to give people an opportunity to celebrate what God's done in their personal lives. When you try a new ministry and it's successful, take a moment in the service or through your Facebook account or newsletter or whatever you're doing. Just find opportunities to share about that success and to celebrate it. It'll breed a healthier climate. It'll breed a new expectation as people grow in their trust that God is working and their hope that God will continue to work.